Once the guitar recordings are done and you kind of spice up the music with percussion and all that stuff, it starts getting interesting because there's no rules. You can try everything. If you don't want to keep it, you just throw it away, you do it again. So that was good fun.
The idea was to, because since we were all doing strings, brass, violins, all kind of silly guitar-like instruments, we needed real percussion as well. If you want to have a big epic sound, it needs big epic percussion. Look at or listen to any soundtrack nowadays, it's full of percussion.
That was really cool, especially the keyboard player Kun. He was just like a kid in the candy store with all the percussion, which is the first time that we've done such a thing. And yeah, we were unloading all the instruments out of the truck, and he was like, "Oh wow!" with a big smile, walking around, and
huge bass drums and congas and bongos and whatever you name it, tubular bells, and it was crazy. And we just had one day of, what did we have 2 days? I guess 2. It was so much fun. We just played everything as loud as possible, and it really works. It's kind of strange to because all those samples you have nowadays, they are so good. But if you play it yourself, and we're not even percussionists, it just sounds better. It sounds so alive and so huge. When I have to record pianos, it's scheduled, and then I go over the songs and see where piano is programmed or where I think that piano should be. And then I have to filter out the parts and make them mine, or make me be able to play those. And then I just record it. And sometimes it takes longer than other times. Sometimes it's only like a high octave, like for an effect or something, or big bass, because that grand piano has really beautiful bass sounds. So we use it a lot this time, a lot of effects, but also in like the ballady stuff and like the.
Is connected to Sandlane recording facilities. He's done a lot of different productions, so he already worked with choirs, with people who are part of an orchestra or brass section, string section, people like that. So he has a very wide amount of people he knows and that he trusts in the studio. They are good. You send the sheet music and then they come in and they play it right away.
Normally what I play live are all the orchestrations, you know, all the strings and all the brass and stuff, but now we recorded that all live, so I don't have to play anything basically. You just have to focus on the parts and make sure that they play what you want them to play. For the orchestrations and the choir parts, it's not necessarily different than the piano parts. You just have to focus on what is written and make it work for the choir or the piano or the orchestra. But the choirs, I'm doing that from the first album, so it naturally became my thingy, and it's good that you gain more experience every time, so it goes faster and smoother. And also with Joost, he's more into guarding that process, so I get a lot more feedback than at previous albums, so I have to be more on top of my game.
Dat is even wennen, maar dat komt helemaal goed.
Feels like a warm blanket to have the choir have my back, and it's such a big element in the Epica music. And we have always recorded with choirs from the Phantom Agony until now, and the choirs became bigger every time. We have done live shows with an even bigger choir, and for me, the live shows, that's where I'm actually also there. During the choir recordings, I haven't been present, but to have the choir sing with you, it's a majestic feeling. I love it. I've sung in a choir myself many years ago, before I became a member of Epica. And I actually had a show with my choir and the very first show with Epica, back then Sahara Dust. And I had to leave during the break after the first set of my choir to make it in time for soundcheck at the 013 in Tilburg, where we supported Anathema.
So it's very important to not make the first words too short. So it's really like divide and conquer. It's a little bit longer than it's notated.
Divide and conquer. show no mercy, defile the honor, sow discord amongst them all.
That's it.
Okay, well, let's do like 30 of those.
Yeah.
We'll be...
To prepare for my vocal parts, it's an easy job. I just have to warm up the day before recording, and then it sounds good the day after. But it is even better when we come straight from a tour, because then my voice is in perfect shape. The longer a tour is, the voice always gets better and better. So I asked to Joost, can we record straight after our Australian tour, Australia, Asia? And he said, yes, it's possible, and because he's very flexible, fortunately, and also because I was expecting to have a huge jet lag, I said, can we work on that? If I feel very tired in the morning, for example, can we record in the afternoon? No problem whatsoever.
Cube the sphere. Paradise, doubt your eyes.
And we recorded everything in 1.5 days. And then we sent everything to the guys so they could listen one more time. They came with some suggestions. And also our vocal coach listens very carefully. She's also really picky in a good way, because it has to sound, I'm not a native English speaker, so I make sometimes some mistakes in the pronunciation.
Free from the past. Your future is comfortable. Now embrace the holographic principle.
How I prepare for the actual recordings is that we rewrite vocal lines together with Sasha and Joost and Mark. We did this at my place in the south of Germany, and we record the new vocal lines with bullshit lyrics. Like sometimes we have already an idea, like Mark, he had a bigger or a better view of what he was going to write about. He already made some setups, even though there were no vocal lines. So we tried to adjust his lyrics to the new vocal lines. And with mine, it was basically just whichever word comes up. So we recorded that. After that, me and Mark finished the lyrics to the new melodies. And then I met up with Joost again, and I sang 17 songs in 1.5 days in my living room. And those were the songs that I practiced before I went into the studio. And I got the songs as instrumental to sing along to, and also with the demo vocals. So I was very well prepared when I went to the studio, and we changed very little things compared to the demo tracks.
Playing a million pictures in my mind that travel at the speed of light, and living in a world turned inside out, gliding through a sea that is profound. Within reach is a fading horizon, deep down the flames grow.
Let's see how far we can take this. Everything is going well for Epica, and we are very conscious about the fact that this is a special thing that we're doing. And sometimes you forget about that because everything goes so fast. Epica is a very productive band. We tour a lot. Time seems to fly faster in this kind of business. It's been almost 14 years, and I can still remember when we talked about earlier the Phantom Agony, and snap, time's over. So enjoy it while it lasts, and we're gonna keep the train going as long as people want it, as long as we have the energy. We'll roll on stage with our wheelchairs. I can sit while singing, so for me it's not a big deal.